Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel, and today's video is going to be about my experience with working in a nursing home. When I first started working in a nursing home, it was really so that I could become a certified CNA because I really just enjoyed helping people, and the demand for CNAs has really went up, and so has the pay. So I was like, okay, that'll be something that, you know, I feel like that I could be good at. And I know you guys, it's finna sound all types of sketchy. The place that I was going to go to get my certification for CNA, they had something on Indeed where they said that you could get certified for CNA in 6 weeks. So I was like, wow, you know, that's nowhere near as long as it takes in other nursing homes. So I figured I'd just go ahead and give that a shot so I can go ahead and start preparing to, you know, just do better and be better, right? So after I finished up the CNA class, you know, they pretty much were informing everybody that we should be taking our state test within a couple of weeks from graduating from the class, but you can only take the state test if you work for that particular nursing home. It was basically like you don't have to work at that nursing home, but you basically have to work at that nursing home if you want to go ahead and get your state test out the way. Or they also gave us information to be able to take the test on our own, which was a hassle. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's just a couple of weeks, so that shouldn't even be bad. So as I was getting my feel in the nursing home, it wasn't like chill or laid back. I was on first shift, and you guys, I remember like the feeling that I would get in my body being able to help those people was really unexplainable, because I really took pride in like being able to help people. And so many people are happy with you, you know, doing the littlest things for them, and they showed so much appreciation. While I was still in clinicals, I actually ended up finding a lady dead in her bed, and that was very, very hard on me. It made me really second guess, like, why am I there and why am I trying to do this? And it's something that I won't forget. The day before she passed, she kept on, you know, like yelling out, and so everybody's like, I don't know why she keeps on yelling out, yada yada yada. Like it got to the point where, you know, people started ignoring her because they didn't know what was wrong with her. Every time they would go in there, wasn't nothing wrong with her. And I noticed, like, normally every time I would go by this woman's room, she would always be asleep, except for this day she was not asleep. And so every time I would go in her room, because I just couldn't like fathom the thought of somebody yelling and me not being able to hear them. And she was already very, you know, thin and very fragile, so it wouldn't have been right on me, you know, if I didn't go in there and at least attempt to see what was wrong with her. Every time I would go in her room, and she wasn't even a person that I had, every time I went in there, she would just be like, hey, can you give me a sip of water? Can you give me a sip of water? And she would say everything at a whisper. And then she would ask me, you know, to keep the door open, which the door had been open. So I just kept on reassuring her. I'm like, yes, ma'am, the door is open. And I just kept on, you know, giving her a sip of water. Then, you know, as soon as I would walk out of her room, she would continue yelling out. And since didn't nobody really like take that seriously, and they weren't really thinking about it, you know, they would just, you know, let her yell out. So that next morning, and mind you guys, with me, it's like my first time seeing something like this, and my first initial thought is, oh my God, I hope this lady is not, you know, pass away, because I can't handle that. So the next morning, I went in there to, you know, give her breakfast. It wasn't someone that I had, but I did want to go check on the lady because of how she was acting so strange the day before. I went into her room, and she was supposed to have like oxygen in her nose. I went in there, she was just like slumped over like this with her eyes closed. Her oxygen was out of her nose, and she was just like stiff. And so I was, you know, trying to call her by her name, and I tried to like tap her. She wasn't moving. So on the inside, I started panicking. I had, you know, got one of the other girls that had already been finished the CNA class before I did. I had called her, and I was like, hey, is she okay? Like, she not moving, and she didn't have her oxygen in. And so she went over there trying to, you know, tap her, trying to wake her up. We ended up having to call for backup from the nurse. They came in there, and the lady did end up passing away. So me, like, I feel like I started like having, I don't know if you would consider it an anxiety attack, but I had to like run to the bathroom and get myself together because I was crying so hard for this lady. Like, think about her last encounter with people, her last encounter that she had with me. And I just felt like that I wish there was something I could have did to save her, even though I knew that it was literally nothing that I could have did, because if it's your time, it's your time. And everybody knows if you work in a nursing home, first shift is the people that have to do pretty much everything. We have to, you know, get these people up, get them bathed, feed them breakfast. We have to do everything, and we get paid the least. And they had already told me, like in the nursing home, that third shift, you know, barely did anything anyway. Sorry, that's just the truth. You know, people in third shift, they like to sleep. First shift be the ones that actually have to get up and active and get everything going. So that was very, very sad for me. And I had talked to my advisor because I just, you know, needed some understanding on things, because it's not every day that you walk into somebody's room and you have to be the one that, you know, find them passed away. So that was very, very hard for me at that time. I did end up sticking it out so that, you know, I could go ahead and get my certification. After clinicals, I had got hired, I had got the job. Because the way that they did their clinicals, when we did our CNA training, we did not get paid for our training because it was just a 6-week course. But we did have to put in a full amount of hours that we were supposed to have. So when I had got hired to work at the job, to work at that nursing home, they had put me in a different department because I wanted to see what it was like to, you know, work in a dementia department, because I felt like I did have, you know, a little bit experience with that and in long-term care. So I had been working on this new department for about a month, and I realized that, like, I kept on like talking to my advisor about like, hey, when are we going to take our state test, because, you know, I've been working here for a month. And at this point, honestly, for me, like, working at the nursing home, it started to really, really weigh down on my body, because when everybody knows, like, CNAs are really, really short staffed. So when we were short staffed, they were like giving people 15 people a piece. And it's like, how the hell is one person supposed to take care of 15 people, and with me still being new? Like, it was just extremely overwhelming for me, and I just was like, oh my god, like, my feet was hurting, my back was hurting, my body was hurting. But I was like, okay, you can keep on pushing, you can keep on pushing, you know, you have to be there for these people, because everybody does not have the heart to do the type of job that you are trying to do. So that was one of the things that kept me pushing. You know, seeing people's face light up when they saw me, seeing people, you know, compliment me on different things about my personality and, you know, how I treat people. So I'm like, okay, you can do this so that you can at least take your state test and then go somewhere else. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, I kept on trying to talk to my advisor, and I was like, hey, when are we going to take the state test? You know, I've been working here for a month, still haven't taken it. She was like, oh, well, basically they was giving me the runaround. And that's basically like, well, yeah, we have to have enough of y'all to actually take the test. So I was like, wow, so us being certified really depends on other people, which I felt like was totally unfair. And so I'm like, oh my god, like, we had clinicals as training, and we were supposed to get another week of training. I still feel like I wasn't fully ready, and I wasn't fully catching on, so they ended up extending my training time because they did not want me to quit. And then, like, other experiences with working in a nursing home, with me working in a dementia unit with people, you know, who are very, very forgetful, and you have to, you know, continuously remind them of things. It wasn't so bad for me. I really enjoy working with people, and it made my heart feel good to be able to help people. And it also, it can be a very, very humbling experience, and it just makes you want to, you know, make sure that you're doing right by people, because the situation that these people are in a nursing home, it can like easily be you. And, you know, those are certain thoughts that will be running through my head. I love so many of the patients that worked at the nursing home. There was this one man where they felt like that, you know, he was getting closer to death. And it was because he was starting to reject a lot of his food, and he wasn't eating. And so I would always try to go in his room, because I don't know, it's like the closer that I feel like that the people were about to pass away, it just drew me close to them, because I wanted to believe that I could save them. Silly, right? I know, but give them a little bit of extra care. So they got to the point where he was rejecting his food, so they actually like stopped trying to feed him because he couldn't eat anything, and he was always in pain. And I had went into his room, I had interactions with him maybe once or twice, and I would, you know, just try to at least try to feed him, because I know deep down in my spirit it wouldn't have felt right for me to not even try to feed this man, even though nobody else is, because they can tell that he's getting ready to, you know, turn over to the other side. I at least tried to feed him. He tried to eat a little bit, you know, he would spit it back out. Such a polite man. He would always say thank you, and I just kept trying to tell him, you know, it's gonna be okay. And I would just rub his little back, you know. I tried to, you know, reassure him, which I don't think we're supposed to do, but it's like, I can't just sit right there and, you know, let somebody die without at least trying to say something positive to them. With that job and with my schedule, actually they ended up having me off like for 5 days. And by the time I came back, you know, I had asked about the man, because there wasn't no reason for me to go to his room, so I had asked about him. And one of the other CNAs, she had let me know that he ended up passing away, you know, while I was gone. And I was sad about that, but I was also a little thankful that it happened, you know, while I wasn't there, because these type of things make me cry. I can get really, really emotional when I think about other people and taking on their emotions and, you know, what the family might have been feeling like and stuff like that, especially if it's somebody that I actually got to see with my own eyes and I got to get near. And just, you know, the constant standing up for me was extremely starting to, you know, wear and tear, because I am club footed, so standing up for like basically 8 hours straight was painful. But I tried to, you know, continue pushing through. I have 2 children. Both of my kids ended up going to the same daycare. I had to switch my oldest daughter back to her old school. And so that had me, you know, getting to work almost an hour late. I had went and, you know, talked to my supervisor and them about it, and I was like, hey, I had to take my daughter, you know, my daughter has cerebral palsy. I had to take her back to her old school and stuff like that, like, because it was causing me to come into work late. And they was just, you know, letting me know, well, we really can't make any exceptions for you, because if we do it for you, we would have to, you know, do it for everybody. And we just recently did that for somebody, and, you know, it started a whole bunch of stuff. So just see what you can do. And basically, to me, that sounded like, well, just choose between, you know, this job or your child, because they said they couldn't work with me on my hours. I even talked to the daycare, and they couldn't, you know, take my daughter in earlier than the drop-off time. At a point like this, if my job is telling me that they can't work with me and the daycare can't take her early, then obviously I'm going to, you know, choose the daycare, because the job was already starting to be, you know, hard on my body. So for a while, I was, you know, I was still getting by with, you know, sneaking into work an hour late. Because, like, well, at least I'm there, and y'all need people really, really bad, until, like, the scheduler. I kept on trying to avoid this lady, but she ended up catching me. The scheduler, she seen me one day, and she was, you know, telling me to come in. She was like, yeah, they were basically telling me, like, that I couldn't keep on coming in this late, and I needed to see what I could do. So I was basically saying, well, I guess that, you know, this day, I think I waited a couple of days. I said, I guess this day will be my last day, because my child comes first, and I'm the only person, you know, who can take her to school, because my mom works first shift, and my children's stepdad, he was also on first shift at the time. So that really just left me, and it was already hard to find a job that could, you know, fit into my kids' schedule, especially with me, you know, being the primary parent. Everybody knows how it is, you know, when you have young kids, you have to choose your kids over your job, because there will be other jobs. My only issue was that I was not certified yet. So basically, I completed the CNA training. I have the training, but I'm just not certified, because they gave me a runaround about taking the state test. And mind you guys, I had been working there for a month, still had not taken the state test. And I started thinking, well, I might as well, you know, just went to one of the other nursing homes that was actually closer to me, because I ended up working at a nursing home that was actually closer to my kids' school. And so I'm thinking, well, if it was going to be about the same time for me to get certified, then I might as well, you know, just chose one that was closer to home. Actually, I ended up having to quit the nursing home, because they claimed that they could not work with me with my kids' hours. But I was kind of thankful that they couldn't work with my time, because the job was becoming too much for me anyways. And so I did end up finding something that fit my schedule more. God hears prayers. It's just crazy how everything happened. And so it's like, my experience at the nursing home, it was great. It was kind of a difficult one, you know, when you're not used to being surrounded by death, and you're not used to, you know, seeing certain things all the time. But I felt like that I got played by the nursing home, because I had been working there for so long and I was still not certified. So I'm making less than what an original CNA at the nursing home would make, but I'm still doing, you know, twice as much work as them. So it's like, what? I witnessed some very, very crazy things in the nursing home. So many different personalities as far as the patients goes. Like, y'all, there was this one lady where, I guess I could say this because I'm not saying her name. She was an older lady. She didn't like water touching her skin, so she didn't like baths. It had been a couple of days, you know, since they were able to give her a bath, because she did not like them. So they kind of had to, you know, trick her to get her washed up and smelling good, because she was starting to smell like, you know, she hadn't showered in a while. And, you know, we were just in the shower room, you know, this is when I was, you know, in clinical, still training. And the CNA that was helping me trained, and another CNA, you know, they had both got the lady in the wheelchair, and they was telling her like, hey, we're finna go here, whatever. As soon as she seen us get close to that bathroom door, y'all, it was on and popping. It was popping like popcorn, sweetheart. I did not know that this lady was she was in her 90s for sure. I think it was 96 years old. I had never seen a 96-year-old be as strong as that lady was, y'all. We got to that shower door, she started like taking off on the CNA, like she started like fighting them basically. I see why it took, you know, two of them to do the job. This little bitty lady from her wheelchair, y'all, she was like, oh, like she was swinging on them. She was swinging on them and trying to grab them, like she was trying to fight them. She was like, no, stop, somebody help, somebody help, somebody help. I'm just sitting right here witnessing this. Like, she was threatening one of the CNAs. She was like, I'll punch your glasses off your face, let me go. She was like punching at her thighs. The craziest thing I had ever seen. The whole time, you know, she's abusing them. I'm just like, wow, this is amazing that this lady has this much strength at her age, y'all. Like, that was just crazy. Then, you know, I stood over there in the corner, you know, watching them bathe her, you know, try to calm her down. She looks over there at me in the corner, and she was like, even she sees what y'all do to me. She was like, little girl, help, help, help. Like, she was yelling at me to help, and I'm just thinking, ma'am, I'm 24, I'm not a child. Everybody thinks that I'm like so much younger than what I am, but that was one of the most funniest, saddest things that I could have experienced there. If you want to work in a nursing home, you really have the heart to do it, because there'll be like a lot of people, you know, who won't do their job, which makes it twice as harder on you. And there'll be some people where you can tell, you know, it's not really their passion, but they're really doing it for a check. And it's just so many things that you have to do, you guys. I don't regret working at the nursing home. It gave me a different experience with dealing with certain things, and I was still, you know, strong enough to keep on pushing and to do what needed to be done. So I am proud about that. I'm not happy that I didn't get my certification. If they're telling me that I need to figure out my situation with my child, and it's like I can't, that's, you know, free them of my presence, but it's okay because greater things are in store for me. So I'm happy that I completed the training. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys in the next video. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel, because why wouldn't you, sis?